I think one of my favorite things is this kind of Texas chainsaw outback massacre.
Done any good drugs lately?
Drive-by movies here. Welcome to Directed Dumpster. This week we're talking the film
Body Melt.
My name is Blaise.
And I'm James.
Body Melt is a 1993 Australian outback, sweaty outback, shall I say, movie about a scientific multivitamin, as they'd say in Australia, that actually has very adverse side effects. This film is directed by Philip Brophy. And this is actually one of his only films. He did 2 shorts prior to this movie. This is his first feature film and sadly his last. He's actually an avant-garde composer and he does like a lot of interesting music. He still composed some films after this, some shorts, but he mainly is a musician and artist, and I think he's a scholar as well.
Damn,
so
what a scholar.
I think he went on to teaching after like not having a successful film career. I guess this film didn't really take off as much, and it's sadly not even really known as a classic, and that's kind of how we found it in the dumpster. But this was a really interesting film.
Yeah, I mean, it's not really a movie I could say I enjoyed right off the bat, but it's definitely a movie I feel like everyone should check out and should be considered a cult classic. And yeah, it's just a really interesting watch. There's not really a whole lot to the plot of the movie, but just the effects of it are really entertaining. There are some fun jokes as well, but I mean, the effects, like, while you can tell it's a low budget film, like they're still very well done, and it definitely will like stick with you after watching. I feel sick after watching that movie.
Yeah, we watch these movies together. Every time I bring a coffee, like something hot to drink, I bring it in this thermos that keeps it warm for like, what is it, like 27 hours?
Got some
127
cold tea
hours.
today.
Yeah, I'm just like feel sick. I couldn't drink my drink. I'm like about to puke. The effects in this film I thought they're really good. I think you weren't really too hot about them, but I thought they're pretty good for the time for 1993.
No,
they're super sweaty and gross, and I think they encompass that kind of gross, disgusting. It just makes your stomach kind of turn, makes you a little bit ill. But I think that's what it's going for, and I have to say I did really enjoy this film, but just going to get into the plot really quick. It's about this multivitamin. This company's making this vitamin, but they're testing it like secretly on this small cul-de-sac, like these 4 or 5 houses of neighbors that don't really all talk to each other, but they all got their different little lives. And they're like, one's like a pregnant family where the wife is pregnant. One's like a regular 4-person family with wife, husband, 2 kids. And then there's 2 like kind of junkies and degenerates. Then there's like
just a guy who lives by
like a
himself.
bachelor.
Yeah, he's just a bachelor.
So you have 4 different families. I think there might have been maybe there's a 5th one. I don't remember, but
just the guy at the beginning of the movie, I guess.
Oh yeah. I guess the guy at the beginning who was like this test subject kind of escapes, and
he hooks up with like the lady who created this this product.
I think he was like a personal test subject that she had, but basically they want this vitamin that's going to make you like super strong, like it like helps you in all ways. You get super strong, buff,
turns you into a bodybuilder, but high pitches their voice, whatever, for whatever reason.
It's just like, no, they never really get into like what exactly it does, but I'm assuming it just makes you the perfect human being. But there is some side effects. 1, you have hallucinations. 2, you get really sweaty. I forget what. Oh wait, no. 2 is body. Isn't 2 body melt? And then 3, like he never gets to what the 3rd side effect is. Something like that.
The first phase is hallucinogenic. The second phase is glandular. The third phase is...
I'm pretty sure there was 1, 2, and then 3 is like, we don't even know what the 3rd.
Like a creature to come out, but we just never got.
I think it's
far.
like just you explode. Yeah, basically, this film is kind of ridiculous, but like essentially this company's tracking this cul-de-sac, finding out what's happening with them. Then you have a bunch of little vignettes kind of go on about these characters and their lives. Yeah. And then it kind of all like boils over at the end with like the product getting released, even though like pretty much everyone that's involved at the company does die because of the vitamin, like just overtakes them. Their body starts melting. Right. They go crazy. Something goes wrong. But essentially, that's like just a gist of what the plot is. You got to watch it for yourself because this is really one of those ones you got to see to believe.
You know what it actually kind of reminded me of? It reminded me of old school Peter Jackson movies. We were talking about previous weeks when we watched Brain Dead. It reminded us, or Brain Dead, it was the original title for Dead Alive. And that's what this reminded me of. Just the over-the-top effects and stuff. The really interesting shot, like the set design of this movie, the wardrobe, like everything about it, like definitely like had a lot of great planning that went into it, I thought, and was well constructed.
Yeah. I definitely have to agree with that. I mean, if you like those original Peter Jackson films, if you're a fan of Bad Taste, not just if you have bad taste, but if you like the film Bad Taste, or you also, you liked Dead Alive, aka Brain Dead, this is definitely has that exact same vibe. And this is a horror comedy. I think a lot of the comedy was lost on us, being that it's from 93, but it's also a lot of regional Australian type comedy. And that didn't translate to us, but I'm pretty sure that this was a lot funnier at the time that it came out. And, coming from that region, maybe a lot of those things made sense. Like one of the things that I was looking up about the film, that they said that a lot of the stars and like people that are in the film are from, soap operas at the time. So this is kind of a parody of those soap operas, specifically a soap called Neighbors that I guess that was about a cul-de-sac. And one of the lead actors in this film, the doctor, was from that TV show. So
interesting. Yeah.
So the film is kind of this parody of this outback, easy life where you live in the suburbs. It's poking fun at suburbia. But also something that was super interesting about this film was the director, Philip Brophy, is an avant-garde sort of musician, composer, like I mentioned earlier. But he did all the music for this movie. And at times the music can seem a bit weird, but I really enjoyed it because there's nothing really like that. It's so strange.
It's a cool soundtrack, and I would love actually to purchase it, but it doesn't match what you're watching on screen, though.
But sometimes, like, there are some parts where it did, some parts where it didn't. But it has this super, like, there are scenes where it's super upbeat, especially in the intro and the beginning. That opening hook of the film with this guy whose body's like literally melting and he's just going crazy. It's like super upbeat, has this like 90s industrial techno kind of beat, and it's something that like really gets you kind of into that movie. You're like, whoa, what's going on here? What am I watching? It feels like you're watching one of those 90s like hacker style movies where it's just like everything's going super fast.
It definitely does,
But instead of like somebody hacking a computer, somebody's body is just straight melting and like they're all sweaty and gross.
I did not expect going into this movie to see a dick explode.
Oh, well, that's one thing. Spoiler, a penis will explode in this movie.
And some cool rollerblading shit too.
I think when it comes to like my favorite scene in the movie, besides the intro, I thought that was really cool. Like those tendrils kind of poking out of this guy.
It definitely set you up for like, oh shit, what the hell are we getting into?
What are we getting into? The skating scene, like that was probably the funniest. That was probably like the comedy wasn't lost on me with this little kid who's like extreme rollerblading, and then he basically does a flip but lands on his head.
And it's like an obvious like stunt double too. And he like dies in that scene, but like we never hear any context with that. Like the family never says, oh, poor little Jimmy died or something.
And I think,
did I miss out?
No, there wasn't. And I think that's what was the payoff for me. It was like not having anyone know that he died because he didn't really matter.
Yeah, because he was a little shit anyways.
Yeah. But I mean, when it comes to body melt, like I kind of really enjoyed watching this movie because it's one of those things where like this cannot be recreated. And if this didn't exist, then like obviously it would never exist, but like we wouldn't have even known about it. But now that we found it, it's like, oh, that's actually a really cool little movie that nobody else knows about. Like I feel like even looking through the IMDb reviews, there's no trivia. There's not really anything. I had to wonder why Philip Brophy never directed another movie after this, because it's pretty fun. I could see like him having a successful career after. I mean, if Peter Jackson can come from Bad Taste, so Lord of the Rings.
And I tell you what, I mean, people should just realize how absolutely difficult this role was to play, because I have a huge dislike of wizards in films and books. I mean, wizards are not great characters.
Or Meet the Feebles, is that the other one? Like, geez,
Yeah, it's like his R-rated Muppets movie, essentially. And it's not that good. It's one of those ones where like the comedy I don't think translates that well right now, but they are doing a restoration of that currently.
Oh, right.
So maybe you know, the restored version some of the comedy might hit better,
Yeah.
but it's one of those Avenue Q type things where it's not as funny as you want it to be.
Right.
So, I mean, I think honestly, pull this film out of the dumpster.
Yeah, definitely.
Maybe it might not be the funniest thing in the world, but there are some scenes that really pay off. The effects are really cool. This is one of those movies that you could show your friend and he's just gonna be like, what are you getting me into? This is weird.
It's a good time, I'd say. That's plain and simple. Just you're gonna have a fun time watching it. It's not gonna like solve like, oh, I'm really looking for a great story or anything. It's just a movie that has to be seen to believe, I feel like. And has cult hit all over it. And why isn't this a cult hit? Let's make it a cult hit.
And one last thing to leave you guys with is, I think one of my favorite things is this kind of Texas Chainsaw Outback Massacre.
Done any good drugs lately?
Family of inbred people. Like, they don't add anything to the plot whatsoever. They just raise more questions, but they're a lot of fun. Like, them and the Degenerates, like, all those scenes are actually like detract from the main plot, but add way more to the film.
Yeah, definitely.
So, I mean, I recommend, even if they were just a short by themselves, that was super entertaining for me. So, I mean, I say pull this thing out of the dumpster. Go check out Body Melt. It's available on Amazon Prime right now. Check it out. Anyways, guys, that is going to wrap it up for Direct to Dumpster this week. Go ahead and subscribe to this channel to get all of our new videos straight in your inbox. Hit that notification bell. We will catch you later. See you next Thursday.